Yeah. All right. Let's get into the guy who's going to be probably taking him under his wing to a certain degree here, because Tyler Newman's going to need some help there. And while he's not a full-out veteran at this point, where it's not like he's like a 15-year vet in the league, Jason Pinnock is probably the guy who's probably going to take Tyler Newman under his wing there to a certain degree, because they're going to be starting on the field together most of the time there. Talk about a guy that the Jets lost that they wish they probably could have taken back. Like that was a really bad move when they dropped him. And remember, you and I were pretty excited when we picked him up as well, because he looked really good. Again, I know it's preseason, but he looked really good in the Jets preseason before they dropped him that year. He was a 5th round pick from the out of Pittsburgh for the Jets back in 21. Last year with us, 16 games, all 16 were starts, 85 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 6 passes deflected, 2 sacks, 4 QB hits, 6 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, a 67.7 PFF grade. 24 years old too. He's still really, really young, guys. I mean, like, that's one of those things that you don't necessarily talk about with a guy who's cheap like that and came in and they're like, oh, he's cheap. They kind of you focus on the money part, but he's still young too, guys. He's still young. 6 foot even, 205 pounds. Now, to give you an idea real quick, the guy he replaced, because this is who he's going to get compared to by some people, is Julian Love, obviously, with the Seahawks. I'm not going to go over the full, stats for every single line for what Julian Love did, but a 72.8 PFF grade down to a 67.7. It's a difference, but it's not a massive difference, guys.
No.
I think he did a very good job replacing Julian Love. Keep in mind, Julian Love also had a shnikey little more talent around him in Seattle. That does help you with those gradings at that point there. It makes your job easier. Does. I would venture to tell you that you could flip-flop either one of them, and their PFF grades would all probably flip-flop with them at that point there.
You can make that argument.
Like I said, I'm not saying it's 100%, but it wouldn't shock me at all. I'll put it that way. Now he goes into his second season as a full-time starter. There's always that little bit of nervousness, a little bit of, little butterflies in the stomach there, so to speak, the first year as a starter. Because you get you get a little nervous. You've been a backup for a couple of years. Now you're front and center. A lot is expected of you. And he did it adequately. He really did, I think. And I'm curious to see where he improves now as a second-year starter. When you start getting a little more comfortable with the role, you kind of go in there. Now you're kind of the veteran of the 2 starting safeties, like as I mentioned a moment ago there. I'm curious if he improves. I'm curious where he goes. Where does he take it from here? Because I don't think we've seen the best that we're going to see of Jason Pinnock yet. I really don't.
No, not at all. I mean, he was the secondary to McKinney last year, obviously.
Secondary in the secondary.
Yes, secondary in the secondary. He's also got different coaching around this year. There's a lot of different talent around him this year. Like, there's definitely room for him to digress, which I don't expect from him. Like, I just see him just getting better. And that's not being a biased Giants fan. That's just, this guy's a young guy that's played pretty well in the opportunities he was given. Yeah. And he's made improvements every year, game after game.
Yeah, but he's going into his 4th season, his 2nd as a starter. And again, he's still 24. The guys, there are people that were drafted this year older than him.
Yeah.
I hate to bring that up. I feel like I bring it every episode, but it's true for some of these guys that have been for a couple of years now, and they're still young. They're still young. Like, he's still, again, 24 years old. Guys, he just started drinking 3 years ago, legally at least.
Legally.
Legally at least. Yeah. Just at that part of it there. I mean, I think it's safe to say that, again, second year starting, 24 years old, he's probably not done growing into, his peak at that point there. I think the one knock you could have on him, and it's kind of the second question we have on him here, is it fair? Maybe it's just me who thinks this way, but correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, because I put this note here. We didn't talk about this one. I'm curious what you think on it. I said, is it fair to call him a jack of all trades, but a master of none? Because I feel like he's a guy who does a lot of things average to above average. But there's nothing I look at and go, Jason Pinnock excels at blank. No one can blank like Jason Pinnock. And that's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. It's better
fill
than
that blank in with the average.
Yeah, it's better than someone who sucks. And I've always said on the show, and I'll repeat it again, you can't have a star at every position. That's ridiculous to expect that. He's a good starter. It's just that's the one thing where I go, like, I look at a player and I like to see, like we talked about, Tyler Newman, who's a ball hawk in college. We went over that initially. I'll use that as an example. There's not one thing at Jason Pinnock that I'm like, Jason Pinnock, he just really great at blank. There isn't. He's just really good all around.
Yes, that's fair. You could say he's a really good lover.
I wouldn't know. Like, where did that come from? Wow. He's a really good lover. Wow. Rob, is there breaking news that we have to give here?
Breaking news. TMZ just called.
Breaking news we heard here on Two Giant Goofballs. Where did that even come from?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I don't know. You'd have to ask his significant other. I don't even know if he's married or not. He's 24. He shouldn't be. Play the field, enjoy life, guys. Once you're older, then settle down. Mike's not listening right now. Now, listen, 24. Most people at 24 aren't looking to get married and settle down yet. Have your fun. Enjoy it.
Usually not.
But here's the last question we have as we awkwardly get out of that conversation. Is he the long-term answer at this position? He's long-term pauses. You think about it now.
Listen, I don't think anyone's guaranteed. There's not a lot of people guaranteed a long-term position in the NFL. A lot of things could happen. So to say to a guy that we just said that he's not a stud anywhere, but he's damn average everywhere.
He's solid. He's solid.
Yeah.
I'll say that when I said damn average. It sounds better. He's solid.
Yeah. Maybe you find a guy free agent. Maybe you find a guy in the draft who excels at just one thing a little bit better that might be more utilized in the way our defense is going to be set up. Then you might have to change. Like I don't want to say without a doubt he's a long-term answer, but like currently, like I do think he's our short long-term answer.
A short long-term answer.
That makes sense. Like
way to completely avoid the question. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, listen, it's not like he's the number one safety in the league. He wasn't anywhere close to there.
No, that'd be crazy.
If you say something like that, then yeah. But you could argue that he is the long-term answer just because the price you're probably going to pay for him long-term and how well he does play the position.
Well, that's part of the equation with him. This is his last year under contract. He's got a $3 million hit this year, and then he's a free agent next year. If he plays very well, there's going to be a market for him. If he plays like he did last year, which is still well, he's going to be probably a guy who's going to get paid $6-7 million, kind of like what the Julian Love contract was the year before, ironically enough, as we talked about him comparison-wise there. And listen, it all depends on what happens, how he plays and stuff like that, and how much money he wants and how much money the Giants have. So there's a lot of variables to it. I think he can be the long-term answer. I think he can be. It all depends on how those negotiations go, because I honestly think he's going to be better this year. And I think maybe instead of saying he's average at everything, we say he's slightly above average at everything.
Yeah.
Or he's above average at everything, but he's not great at it. And that's fine still. Like I said, again, you can have a stud at every position.
He's your friend, but you're not your best friend in the safety position.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.